I need you to understand something before they find this recording. 3 days ago, the Keller Array detected an object decelerating toward Earth at velocities that should have ionized every atom in its structure. It didn't. The object, we're calling it Iteration 0, is simultaneously 2.3 million kilometers out and 8 million kilometers away. Both readings are correct. Both are happening at once. Iteration 0 exists in multiple temporal states simultaneously, and with every passing hour, the number of states increases. My name is Dr. Sarah Vance. I was the lead temporal physics consultant at the Keller facility until 19 hours ago, when my security clearance was revoked without explanation. I'm recording this in my car, parked outside a gas station in Socorro, because the alternative is letting what I know disappear with me. They've already taken Chen and Rudkowski. I don't know where. The fact that I'm even thinking in those terms should tell you how far outside normal parameters this has gone. The first anomaly appeared on October 3rd at 4:17 UTC. A graduate student named Michael Portman flagged an infrared signature in Sector 19J that shouldn't exist. The signature indicated a solid metallic object roughly 800 meters in length, cylindrical, with surface temperatures hovering around 2.7 Kelvin, exactly the temperature of the cosmic microwave background. What made it impossible was the Doppler analysis. The object was emitting radiation indicating it was moving toward us at 37% of light speed, while simultaneously emitting radiation consistent with an object at relative rest, not flickering, both signatures stable and continuous from the same source. We brought in Dr. Yuki Tanaka from MIT. She's published 4 papers on closed time-like curves and quantum superposition at macro scales. She took one look at the data and went silent for 11 minutes. Then she said, "This isn't traveling through space. It's iterating through time." When I asked her to clarify, she pointed to a pattern in the electromagnetic emissions. The object was broadcasting in structured bursts, occurring at intervals of exactly 1.618 seconds. The golden ratio. Deliberate. And each burst contained the same signal, but the signal was degrading in reverse. The most recent transmissions were fragments. The oldest were complete. Something made that object, something sent it, and whatever it is, it's crossing time itself to reach us. By October 7th, we had visual confirmation via the Hubble array. The images came back corrupted, not from equipment failure, but from what Tanaka called temporal parallax. The object appeared in 17 different positions simultaneously, forming a rough spiral converging on a single point. When we tried to calculate which position was current, the software returned an error, all positions current. We were looking at the same ship at 17 different moments, collapsed into a single frame. One of the techs, a woman named Leah Cross, started crying when she saw it. She said it looked like something threaded through itself, like a needle pulling its own thread. The nightmares started that same night. 12 members of the observation team reported identical dreams, standing in a corridor that curved upward in all directions, a surface made of something that looked like brass but bled light when touched. At the far end of the corridor, a door, always the same door, smooth, rectangular, with no handle or seam, and behind the door, the sound of breathing, slow, mechanical, patient. Leah Cross stopped coming to work after the 3rd night. She left a voicemail saying she could still hear the breathing during the day, that it synchronized with her own pulse, and that she couldn't tell anymore if it was coming from outside her body or inside it. On October 9th, the object began transmitting on VLF frequencies, very low frequency, the kind used by submarines because it penetrates water and earth. The signal should have been impossible to receive at that range. We recorded 93 hours of continuous transmission before the brass arrived and locked down the facility. I managed to isolate 12 seconds of the audio before my access was cut. It wasn't static, it wasn't random, it was a voice, human voice, reciting coordinates, dates, names. One of the names was mine, another was Chen's. A third belonged to a man named David Harrow, who died in a lab accident at Keller in 2019. I checked the archived reports. There's a note in the margin of the autopsy file, handwritten, barely legible. Said he heard it calling him backward. By October 11th, the object had closed to 4.1 million kilometers, except it was also at 6.3 million and 9.7 million. The number of simultaneous positions had increased to 42. Tanaka developed a model suggesting the ship wasn't moving through space at all. It was collapsing space by existing in every moment of its journey at once. She called it temporal propagation. The ship was iterating closer by erasing the distance retroactively. Chen broke into my office on the 13th. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. He'd been running cognitive baseline tests on the observation team and found what he called insertion artifacts, false memories that appeared in 12 subjects over 72 hours. All 12 remembered attending a briefing that never occurred. In this non-existent briefing, a man in a gray suit told them the ship had already landed, that it had been here for decades, that all of this detection, observation, analysis was a recursive loop we'd been doing and redoing across multiple timelines. The memories were detailed, specific, corroborated across subjects who had no contact with one another. Chen wanted to know if I'd experienced anything similar. I told him no. I didn't tell him that I'd been dreaming about the corridor too, or that 2 nights prior I'd woken up with the taste of brass in my mouth and a low vibration in my sternum that wouldn't stop. The lockdown happened on October 15th at 2:33 local time. Armed personnel in unmarked uniforms sealed every exit. They took our phones, our laptops, our notes. A man who wouldn't identify himself told us we were being held under National Security Directive 19, a classification I'd never heard of. He said the object had begun proximity destabilization events, and that observation was being transferred to a secured location. When I asked what proximity destabilization meant, he looked at me for a long time and then said, "It means the ship is teaching us to remember it before it arrives." That's when I understood we weren't dealing with a vessel. We were dealing with an infection vector. The ship was rewriting causality in its wake, threading itself backward through our perception until the line between observation and manifestation collapsed entirely. This wasn't physics. This was predation. Something had learned to move through time the way a parasite moves through tissue. I escaped during a shift change, stole a janitor's uniform, and walked out through the service entrance. I drove for 3 hours before I trusted myself to stop. My hands are still shaking. There's dried blood under my nose that I don't remember producing. Here's what I managed to bring: a USB drive containing 47 hours of raw telemetry data, 3 security footage files, and a handwritten note I found in Rudkowski's desk drawer. The note is dated October 20th, 5 days from now. It's in his handwriting. It says, "Vance, if you're reading this, I'm already inside. Don't try to extract me. The door only opens one way. Tell my wife I loved her in every direction." The security footage is worse. The first file shows the main observation deck on October 12th at 23:47, 14 people working at their stations. Then at 23:51, every person in the room turns toward the same blank wall and stands there for 6 minutes, not moving, not speaking, just staring. At 23:57, they all sit back down and resume working as if nothing happened. I scrubbed through the playback frame by frame. During those 6 minutes, their shadows don't match their bodies. The shadows are facing the wrong direction, towards something that isn't there. The second file is from October 14th, interior hallway. 0322. A figure walks past the camera wearing a Keller facility jumpsuit, walking backward. When I freeze the frame and zoom in on the ID badge, the name reads Dr. Sarah Vance. That's me. I've never been in that hallway, but the face is mine, and the figure is walking backward with the smooth, deliberate gait of someone moving forward, as if the film itself is reversed, except the timestamp in the corner is running normally. The clocks on the wall behind the figure are running normally, only the figure is inverted. The third file won't play. Every media player returns the same error. File already open. The file size is 2.3 terabytes. It should be impossible. I think the file is still recording something that hasn't finished happening yet. The USB drive contains something worse. Buried in the telemetry is a subsection labeled Echo Analysis, classified eyes only. The encryption should have blocked me, but when I plugged in the drive, the file opened automatically. The document is a chronological log of every radio transmission iteration 0 has emitted since detection, but the transmissions aren't organized by date received. They're organized by date sent. And according to the log, the first transmission was sent in 1983, the second in 1991, the third in 2004. The most recent, October 16, 2024, hasn't been sent yet. It's scheduled, pre-recorded in a format that won't exist for another 6 hours. That's when I realized we've had this backward from the beginning. The ship isn't approaching Earth. It's always been here. What we're detecting now is the echo of its arrival propagating backward through time, and we're caught in the bow wave. Every scan, every observation, we're not discovering it. We're remembering it. The ship is teaching us to perceive it retroactively, building itself into our past so that by the time it actually arrives, we'll have already been living with it for decades. I checked the timestamps on my own research notes last night. Files I know I created in the last 2 weeks are dated months ago. Emails I sent yesterday have reply chains stretching back to July. My own handwriting is appearing in documents I've never opened. I'm writing things I don't remember writing. Chen once told me about a concept called retrocausality, the idea that effects can precede their causes under certain conditions. He said it was theoretical, unproven. But what if that's exactly what iteration 0 is? Not a ship, but a retrocausal event. An arrival so massive that it collapses causality in its wake and writes itself backward into history. By the time it reaches Earth, it will have always been here. The man in the gray suit from the false memories, I think I've seen him. Not in person, in photographs. Background of a press conference from 2011. Edge of a frame in a declassified NSA document from 1997. Same suit, same face. He's been there in the corners of our records for decades. Portman, the graduate student who first detected the object, stopped coming to the lab on October 10th. His advisor found him in his apartment 3 days later, alive but catatonic, sitting in front of his computer with a video file looping on the screen. The file was security footage from the Keller observation deck showing Portman standing at his workstation, running the same scan that detected iteration 0, except the footage was dated October 3rd, 2019, 5 years ago. The footage shows him looking directly at the camera and mouthing words. Someone ran a lip-reading analysis. He's saying, "It's already here. Tell them it's already here. Tell them I already told them." Last night, I fell asleep in my car outside a rest stop in Utah. I dreamed I was in the corridor again, the brass corridor. But this time, I walked to the door. I put my hand on it. The metal was warm, alive, breathing, and when I touched it, I felt something on the other side touch back. A hand, matching mine, palm to palm through the door. And I knew with absolute certainty that the hand was mine, that I was on both sides of the door simultaneously, that the door wasn't separating two spaces, it was separating 2 times. I woke up with the taste of brass in my mouth again. My reflection in the rearview mirror looked wrong, not distorted, just slightly out of sync. My lips moved before the sound came out. I'm desyncing from myself. I'm starting to iterate. The ship is 1.8 million kilometers away now. Also 3.2 million. Also 700,000. Also here. The number of simultaneous positions has increased to over 900. It's not a cloud anymore. It's a temporal hemorrhage. And I can feel it pulling at me, threading me backward, teaching me to remember forward. I'm starting to experience déjà vu for things that haven't happened yet. I'll reach for my phone and feel the echo of having already picked it up. If you're hearing this, it means I didn't make it far enough. The last calculation I saw estimated convergence in 78 hours. But convergence with what? With now? With then? Tanaka's final words before they took her were, "It's not coming here, it's making here come to it." I don't know what that means, but I know the corridor is real. I know the door is real, and I know that behind the door something has been waiting in a place where waiting and arriving are the same thing. The ship isn't trapped in time. We are. It's just showing us the bars. This is Dr. Sarah Vance. The date is October 18th, 2024. Or it will be. Or it was. I can't tell anymore. If you receive this message, don't try to find me. Don't try to stop what's coming. You can't stop something that's already here. You can only remember it. And once you remember it, you've always remembered it. I can hear the breathing again. Slow, mechanical, patient. It matches my pulse. I don't know if it's coming from outside my body or inside it. I don't think there's a difference anymore. The ship isn't approaching. The ship is remembering us into existence, and we're starting to remember back.